So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, there was a time in the 1970s, early 70s, where Toronto was going through a kind of a youth movement. They brought in a lot of prospects, including Daryl Sittler, Dennis Duperre, Pierre Jarry, Blaine Stoughton, Rick Keogh, to see if they could replace the Ullmans, the Hendersons, later, Mahovlich was gone by then, to see if they could really rebuild towards a strong cup run. Now, this guy was part of that, and kind of been a forgotten star in the NHL, but to me, he had very, very good skills, and very, very strong on both sides of the ice. So we're going to talk about the curious case of Stan Weir. Now, Stanley Brine, Stash, used to call him nickname Weir, born March 7, 1952, played on 5 different teams in the NHL in one season of WHA over an 11-year career that lasted from 72 to 83. Now, he was drafted in the second round, 28 overall, by the California Golden Seals in the 72 NHL amateur draft, and made his debut with the team in 1972, playing 3 seasons there. Now, he was eventually traded to the Maple Leafs and had a very strong career with them, and then later on with the Oilers of the WHA, who he stayed with when he jumped back to the NHL in 1979-80. Now, he finished his career with brief stints with the Rockies and the Red Wings and spent 2 seasons in the minor leagues before retiring in 85. Now, came to major prominence with the Ponoco Stampeders of the Alberta Junior Hockey League in 1970, getting 61 points in 42 games. His next 2 seasons in the WCHL were outstanding, 111 points in 66 games for Medicine Hat in 71, and with Medicine Hat in 72, 133 points in 68 games, including 58 goals. Now, like I said, a big center, 6'1", 170, great flowing play. He was the WHL's Rookie of the Year in his first season with the Medicine Hat, and also played on a line with future NHLer and teammate Lanny McDonald. Now, McDonald later said he considered Weir to be one of the best junior players in Canada in that season, and I tend to agree. Now, Weir continued to put up big numbers at WCHL with 244 points in those 2 seasons. Now, while only 19, the California Seals had seen enough and decided to draft Weir in 72. Now, after scoring 133 points in Medicine Hat the year previously, big things were thought of for the center. He jumped right into playing with the big boys, and there was no indication that his game was going to slow down. He had 39 points for a very weak Seals team in 73 in 78 contests. However, his offensive prowess was expected to grow as he got used to speed and size in the NHL. The following season, Weir's production went down with only 16 points in 58 games before his season was ended with a knee injury. Now, California expected more from him, and finally he delivered in 75. He led the team in points with 45 and assists with 27. Now, he continued to not meet the expectations of Seals manager. He was eventually traded to the Maple Leafs for Gary Sabourin to rejoin old friend Lanny McDonald. Now, the Leafs were hoping Weir would regain his form and add some depth at offense. And in 1976, he did as he chipped in 19 goals and finished with 51 points in the season, helping the Leafs get into the playoffs eventually against the Flyers, losing in the quarters. However, in a team with scoring greats such as Daryl Sittler, McDonald, Errol Thompson, his production didn't meet expectations for a second time. Now, in similar results the next season, the Leafs decided that Weir were used too sparingly and was sent down to the Leafs minor league affiliate, the Tulsa Oilers of the CHL, for future seasoning. Now, Weir played hard for the Oilers, scoring 57 points in his 42 games, and made some headway when he was called back to rejoin Toronto at the end of the season and into the playoffs. Now, he scored 15 goals these last 33 games with Toronto, including 3 in their short playoff run. Now, knowing Toronto was expecting more out of him, and he might again be sent to the minors, he decided to jump to the WHA and join the Oilers to play on that premier team. In his first season with Edmonton, he scored 31 goals and 30 assists, while playing with Wayne Gretzky, who joined the team partway through the season from Indianapolis. Now, when the Oilers joined the NHL the following season, Weir was first claimed back by Toronto prior to the draft, but then was then reacquired on waivers by Edmonton a few weeks later. With them, he scored his highest NHL poll totals with 33 goals and 33 assists. Weir would then play 2 more seasons with them before being traded to the Rockies for Ed Cooper on March 9th, 1982. Now, after playing in 10 games for Colorado, the NHL voided a trade after Cooper was found to be hiding injuries and Weir was returned to Edmonton. Weir would not stay long for Edmonton as they traded him to the Red Wings for cash on September 4th, 82. Weir played his final NHL season in 83. He scored 29 points for Detroit that year and ended his NHL career with 346 points over 10 seasons. After leaving Detroit, he played the 84 season with the Montana Magic of the CHL, which is another podcast on our channel, and then joined the Milwaukee Admirals of the IHL for the 85 campaign, and Weir retired that season. Now, however, his retirement was short-lived as he decided to play senior hockey in Ontario for the Brantford Mott's Clamatos in 86, and yes, Mott's Clamatos were around at that time. He spent the season with the Clamatos and the season with the Dundas Real McCoys of the OHA Senior A Hockey League before retiring for good in 87. Now, for me, in all seriousness, I look at that call up to Toronto in 78 as a pretty good indication of what he can do. He had 15 goals in 43 games, but you look at playing with Gretzky really boosted his numbers. But the only problem is with Weir, I think he's flow game, which played quite a bit. He needed a good line mate. And I think with Toronto, there was nobody to play with because, like any good coach, you're going to put Thompson, Witt, Sittler, and McDonald. They're not going to put Weir on there. Weir had some problems on defense as well, which was a complaint of a lot of the Leafs fans over the years. Now, WHA totals, one season, of course, 31 goals, 31 assists for 61 points in 68 games, 7 points in the playoffs, which included AVCO Cup final run, and NHL totals, 642 games, 139 assists, 139 goals, 207 assists for 246 points. But, not too bad of a career, over 700 major pro games in 2 leagues, playing with both versions of the Oilers, playing with Gretzky for those seasons. But I still think, ladies and gentlemen, he could have done more. He was your typical 30-goal guy, man, and it really didn't pan out. But for me, Montreal should have took a chance on him as well. You look what happened with Brian Bellows and Lehman and Muller. That's pretty well would have been the same thing. But the man when he was on, he had skills. I mean, you don't score 30 goals in consecutive seasons and not have some skill, But again, he was playing with Gretzky, and Gretzky, like B.J. McDonald, is worth a few points. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Keep your stick in the ice, and again, we're wrapping up the last requests of our NHL Vintage Sports File. There will be 2 or 3 more until we take a break officially next week. So, take care and get tested. Have a good day. Bye.